And hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Before we do get into today's video, as always, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. So I hope you guys are all well. We're back for our second video of the day. Things are starting to heat up around the Celtic space today, so there's a lot to go through actually. I want to start today's video by discussing the goalkeeper situation again, because from earlier on there's been a new development. I think literally as I released the video, this new development just happened, so it's quite interesting to discuss, and it helps kind of push Dubravka towards us a little bit in terms of him being our new goalkeeper. So Newcastle United, the club that Martin Dubravka currently plays for, have just announced two goalkeeper signings. So one is John Ruddy, the ex-Norwich City goalkeeper. He looks to be their new third choice keeper, and they announced one yesterday in kind of a part change deal with Elliot Anderson going to Nottingham Forest and this Greek goalkeeper going to Newcastle in kind of a swap deal. It wasn't really a swap deal, but it was more so Elliot Anderson goes there for £35 million and they get a goalkeeper in return and they pay some money towards Forest for him as well, just to help with their PSR concerns that goes on in the Premier League. Some random dodgy business going on there. But they've signed two goalkeepers, Newcastle have. Now this leaves Dubravka as the fourth choice goalkeeper right now. And he's made it very known that he wants to leave the club and get first team football. So this signing of John Ruddy in the last few hours has highlighted that even further, that he will leave Newcastle at some point. And as things stand right now, we are we are the favoured destination. And it's believed that his move to Celtic is pretty much nailed on. And some reports say there has some inside knowledge that he will want to go to Celtic as well and play European football and stuff like that. So it looks pretty good that he could be on his way to Celtic. Of course, recently he spoke about rumours himself. He said, "I'm aware that there are rumours. Teammates ask me about it. Agents and people call me. If there's any truth to it, there was some truth in that a year ago, and you see I stayed at Newcastle, so I take it as if there is no official offer on the table, then I absolutely do not deal." So he's mentioned before there's been interest from Celtic, but of course that interest is being reignited this summer transfer window, given the fact we have no good goalkeeper for the coming season now that Joe Hart's retired. And we don't really want to rely on Bain as our first choice goalkeeper, do we? So I'm happy to get Dubravka. He'll be good goalkeeper for the next 2-3 years. He's 35, which of course he's no spring chicken, but he'll do a good job for the next 2-3 years at least. And I mentioned earlier on in the video, a lot of you guys slagged me because I was talking about England too much, but I thought he had a good game yesterday against England. I mean, he didn't have much to do, but he looked pretty solid when he was called upon. I know he conceded 2 goals, but their defence was pretty poor for those 2 goals as well, so you can't really blame the keeper for that. And I think in general he's a pretty good goalkeeper. He went on loan to Manchester United like 2 seasons ago as well as a backup for their main keeper, so he's not a bad little player, and I think he's a good stopgap keeper for the next few years as well, until we find the long-term replacement that we really want for the next few years. But I'm happy for that. He'll get him on the cheap as well. He's getting pushed out the club. He's got a year left on his contract. It just works. It just makes sense for us to get him. So hopefully that is going to be happening sooner rather than later, because the last thing we want is him not to join. We're stuck with Scott Bain for pre-season and the first few games of the season as well before we panic buy a goalkeeper from the Championship that we don't really want. So yeah, fingers crossed that happens sooner rather than later. Now, let's discuss the big transfer news of today, and that is that Southampton have lined up a £20 million bid for Celtic man Matt ORiley, as Russell Martin eyes a reunion with the player. So this report from TalkSport says Southampton are lining up a bid for Matt ORiley in the region of £20 million. The Celtic midfielder is being targeted as an addition following Saints' promotion back to the Premier League. Russell Martin is keen to add quality to his side, something that he knows ORiley has, who he has 2 appearances for Denmark's national team to his name, will offer him. The 23-year-old was signed by Martin while in charge at MK Dons, scoring 3 goals in 23 appearances before Martin moved to Swansea that summer. ORiley, of course, scored 10 goals in 54 appearances for MK Dons before earning a £1.5 million move to Celtic in January 2022. And speaking in September 2022, Celtic star ORiley heaped praise on ex-Rangers man Martin, saying that he had a huge impact on his career, saying he was a huge big influence on me at MK Dons. He's the first manager to really understand me as a player and more importantly as a person. He added, Russell's happy for me. He tries to tune in to all the games even though he's a manager at Swansea. Since then, the midfielder has scored 26 27 goals and offered 34 assists and 121 appearances for Celtic. In those 2.5 years, ORiley has helped the boys to 3 Scottish Premiership titles, 2 Scottish Cups and 1 League Cup, as well as making 12 appearances in the Champions League. And now, the rest of the article basically says Southampton have already been busy this summer making 2 signings ahead of the new season. Lallana and then Taylor Harwood-Bellis, who joined in a £20 million deal, and they will look to survive relegation this season. So a lot to dissect there, really, but the main thing is they are interested in Matt O'Riley for £20 million. Now, we reported, I think it was yesterday, that we were asking for £30 million, which would be a record-breaking fee to receive for a player in the Scottish Premiership. Now, I'm hoping we don't accept this. I think if the likes of like Bassi, I think for Rangers went to Ajax for £25 million. Even the likes of like, I don't know, Jota went £25 million last year to Saudi. I think we can get £30 million for O'Riley. Not saying he's a better player than Jota. I just think the way the transfer market is now, how much money the Premier League has, they can definitely afford to pluck out £30 million for O'Riley. And I think that's the bare minimum we should be asking for a player of his standards as well. He's very young, very good midfielder, scored a lot of goals this season, being our star player this season, the best player in the league by a country mile. I think we should be at least asking for £30 million and nothing less than that. I want to know your thoughts on that though. Would you take £20 million for him? As we've discussed multiple times, Celtic have money. There's no need to sell him, even for £30 million. We have money in the bank, but we just don't spend it. So if we sell him, are we going to get the quality in through the door to replace him? Most likely not. We'll probably get a lot of young project players. 1 or 2 maybe might stick. The rest will be crap, and they'll be sold on for money in the future. So it's a case of, do we just say no to the money and try and keep hold of him? If he's keen to go to Southampton, that's kind of bizarre in my opinion. Why would he want to go to a struggling Premier League side when he can play Champions League football at Celtic and win more trophies? It just doesn't make sense. I get the allure of Atletico Madrid. You're playing at the top level of the La Liga, you're playing in the Champions League, you're playing in Europe. I get the allure to that, but why would you want to go to Southampton? Maybe to reignite with old manager Russell Martin, but come on. I guess the money as well, but he didn't strike me as a player that follows money. He strikes me as a player that wants to win things, and I think he can do that at Celtic, or even more so at Atletico Madrid. So for me, if I was him, obviously I'm not, if I was him, I would stay at Celtic until a better choice in Southampton comes along, and my personal thoughts on that. But let me know your thoughts on that down below in the comment section. As always, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel, because we are getting closer and closer to 8,000 subscribers. I'm going to try and reach that by the end of this month. We are in July now, so that's the target for this month. It's a big ask, but if you haven't yet subscribed, make sure you do, please. It's greatly appreciated, because a lot more news will be happening around Celtic in the next few days. Of course, the transfer window's wide open now, and hopefully a lot of incomers will be coming to Celtic Park in the next few days. Drop a like, subscribe, take care, thank you, bye-bye.